What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the PieJ podcast. Thank you for joining us for our first episode. I'm here with Mr. Zealot for Christ.
How?
He's right over there. Um, so, yeah, we're today going to be having a little discussion for our first podcast, and I put a poll up on Instagram, and I wanted to see what people wanted to know, what people wanted to hear us talk about, and the first thing that I got was, well, a couple things, but basically they wanted to have us talk about controversial subjects, and that's fine. Not every episode is going to be about controversial subjects. Sometimes we're just going to be talking about fun stuff, but I'm just letting you guys know that for future episodes. But for today, we are going to be tackling a bit of a uh bit of a we're talking about worldviews today. We're talking about um what people think about the world and what they believe and what people have faith in. Like, it'll be about Christianity, other stuff too. I believe it's probably mostly going to be more about Christianity for us because that's like our center of our worldview. But we both also have a bunch of different like points of views on this subject. So yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about. Where do you want to start?
You're the host.
That's true. I am the host. Hmm. I guess we could just start by talking about what our worldviews are. I guess. Right now, for me, like, I am a Christian. I believe in Christianity. I believe that Jesus died to save our sins. He died on the cross, and we have to accept him into our hearts in order to go to heaven and make a relationship with him. Um, I do have issues with certain points that are related to Christianity, and I don't know how I feel about them. Um, but that's kind of where I stand. Just to give a little intro to what I think. What about you?
Well, you know me. I
Yeah,
believe
but the
in
people
God,
don't.
and I believe in God a lot, and that's it. That's pretty much it. The Bible says it is true.
Okay. Well, how do we? I know we're recording this, so it's harder to kind of just get into it flowingly. But what do we usually kind of start off like? What are we? Usually, it's more of an argument, but um,
It's not an
let's see.
argument. It's just a discussion.
It is a discussion. It's true. And that's the point of this channel. The reason I wanted to start this was because I want a place where we can talk about anything, fun things, controversial things, hard topics, and just have a place to put our minds and our thoughts out there. So that's the point of this channel. Um, I guess to start with some of the things that I have had hard time seeing lately is with Christianity. One of the things that is kind of
I got a
hard
lag
for.
spike there.
Oh, well, I don't think I did, so that's good.
Okay.
Um, I think one of the hard things I have been seeing with Christianity right now is the point, I guess. And I know that sounds stupid, but I don't. I'm having a hard time understanding what the reason for all this is. I know we're living a life to praise God, and we're living a life to trust in Him and live our lives to the fullest through Him. And through Him, we will have eternal life in heaven. But the more I think about heaven and the more I think about how much we try to better ourselves through him, there's a lot of other controversial subjects that, like, I don't think are necessarily meaningful anymore. Because if we're living our lives to praise him in heaven for the rest of our lives, like that, I don't. Some things that we've talked about is free will, and free will, whether or not free will is actually real, or if it is real, or if it's both not real and real, like,
Or if we appreciate that or not.
yeah. So, um, I don't know. So
This
that's
would
kind
have
of where.
helped if we didn't already have this conversation today.
Yeah, but I think we still haven't ever came to a good conclusion, and I'm not saying we're
Well,
going to get to a conclusion today, but
yeah,
I
but
think
we also
there's
said
still
our
more that we
piece. So
can.
at this point, we're just
Yeah, but we can still talk about other issues. It doesn't have to just be about
true.
Christianity. Like, this whole podcast, this one's about worldviews. There are other. If you want, we can also talk about other worldviews too, like what other people think, like
I
problems that
mean,
other
we
people have.
could, but we don't really understand them completely.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Um, how are you? How do you differentiate from what I stand? Like, you don't. You think that it's it's worth going to heaven because our choice is on earth, right? Like, our choice to, because one of the reasons I say that free will is hard to kind of wrap our minds around is because if we go to heaven, we praise God for the rest of our lives, and it's kind of like that's all that we know. Like we know that there's golden roads and it's perfect, and we can't ever wrap our minds around perfectness. But I don't see how if we don't get to be like everybody says, you're not going to be sad in heaven. You're not going to be angry in heaven.
Well, it never technically says you won't be angry, and a big philosophy that I have behind that is that sadness and pain are the two of the biggest like things we avoid in life. Like
Hmm.
when you think about it, like being angry, what is that? That's avoiding pain, or it's using pain to then it's almost like a repercussion. And then like sadness, it's like people get angry to avoid sadness. People start hurting others because they don't want to get hurt themselves,
Hmm.
and that's like I think that's why the Bible specifically says that. Because if you can avoid pain and you can avoid sadness, then everything else is just like over
Yeah, but my
there.
thing is I don't understand how you're not able to feel that in heaven. Like,
And I
don't
think
don't you have the
this
memories of the sad parts? Like, are we not going to remember our sadness and anger and stuff like from down on earth?
have you? Well, that's actually ironically this goes to a different conversation we were having. How I think that how when you find something that's really good,
Hmm.
all the sad memories. Well, that will probably. Well, there's been some discussion whether we'll have them or not, but I personally believe we will. But it won't be sad. We'll remember, but it'll be better because life is better now. All the sad parts in our life
Okay.
are going to be
I'm not saying I don't
looked at in a
disagree.
different
It's
light.
just I don't like it's hard for me to think that if we go to heaven, like we're not going to feel sad about sad things. Like I mean,
Well, that's also because
people go like
you have a hard time getting over sad things. That's just like a
I
part
know, but
of
I mean even
you.
people like that you've never met or something. Like let's say like somebody a murderer killed the mother of a child. Does that child have to go to heaven? And maybe he meets her in heaven, sure, but he still has to like like what if he was there? He saw the guy maybe like stab the woman. He go then later on in life he passes. He goes to heaven. Yeah, he's in heaven. Everything's perfect, and his mom is there too. Sure, I'll give like the best case scenario. But in heaven, he still has to have that memory of someone cutting his mom to death. Like how can we have thoughts like that in our mind in heaven?
Well, think of it this way: his mom may or may not have been a Christian, but if she was a Christian, then she's there now. What's the point of? Because all the pain that you ever dealt with in life is now in the past, and
Yes, I'm
all
not saying he's going to reflect on the fact that she's dead or like the fact that she died in front of him,
why
but
is death such a bad
having
thing nowadays? Why?
I think death is more of such a bad thing because the world made it out to be a bad thing. I think because if we go based off our religion and our faith, then death is only like a segue in a way. It's kind of
It's a
like
segue.
it's kind of like a segue. I mean,
I
it's
call
like
it.
it's a path to
I call it a comma. I call death a comma.
pretty much. It's basically like just a standpoint where you stop and then you start again.
Yeah.
It's but in but there's so many brutal ways that the world has created death. Like death is not just someone simply passes in their sleep anymore. Death has become destruction, like rape, murder, mass shootings, like destruction. Like there's been so many things that have made death so apparently evil. And I mean, it is evil. Like
Well, it
it's hard
is,
to
but why does it make people sad?
because the loss of the ones that they love.
Exactly. And if those people are Christians, then admittedly, the people who are Christians
But then what if okay,
get to
then let's
show
take the
up.
worst case scenario. I was taking the best case scenario for that
Yeah.
example. Then let's take the worst case scenario. The mother
Is not a
goes to
Christian,
hell.
right?
The
Yeah,
mother goes to
yeah.
hell. And the
And
boy has to go to heaven and his mother's not there. It's only him, and I know he'll be happy because he grew up and with all that trauma, he made the right choice to accept God into his heart, and he made it to heaven. He made it to the golden gates. Everything's perfect, but he'll never see his mom again. And I know even though in heaven it's not technically your mother anymore,
well,
but
yeah, that's kind of a part of it.
yeah,
But at the same time, I don't know. I think right now, as people, we see justice in a very weird light because a lot of people, they don't want to, they don't like having conversations because they don't like hearing the opposite opinions a lot of times. But B, they also aren't. I think people aren't really sure what justice is. I'm not completely sure myself, but the only justice we really know completely about is that God knows what He's doing. So I think when we get to heaven, we might have a better understanding of what justice is.
But that's the problem. Like I don't like one of the reasons I've been having such an issue with Christianity lately is like we're supposed to believe in God's way is the best way, and God's way is like the best case scenario for us. Like if we choose to follow God, that's like the best road that we can go down. But like I'm not saying it's not. It's just it's hard sometimes because like I mean you go by like what people say with why would God let sad things happen? And I know I don't necessarily think God lets sad things happen, but I mean at the end of the day he does know it's going to happen, and that's why people get it confused. Like some people will say if he does know everything, then why would he let this happen? I don't think he's letting it happen. I do like because you and me talked about this a little bit. Free will is kind of hard to deal with in conversation. You and me both kind of believe in both. We believe in predestination and
And
free
free
will,
will, yeah.
um, which is hard because, like, I mean, admittedly, it's hard. You're believing that God made everything and He created everything, and He has seen it, like almost like it's a line, like beginning to end. Even though there's technically not an end, He has seen everything. He has known everything. He knows everybody's names. He knows how many hairs are on everybody's head in all of time.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still apparently allowed to choose what we do in our lives. And
And that's where we got into like different things before. We've gotten into different arguments, like would it be better to have free will or to not have free will? And I've always gone with the idea that it would be better because the love that God is looking for. A lot of time, well, and that's the thing, like God asks for love, but I think if you choose love, it's a lot better than if you just had like forced love. Because I think if you force something to love you, then it's not really love at all, is it? It's just,
but what about some people who live their lives and they feel happy? Like we always take the side that one of the reasons people don't choose God is because something awful and traumatic happened or something along those lines. It's usually what we talk about. What if there's just people who are content with their lives? They're happy. They have a perfect marriage, perfect family, job is great, they're getting a good income, they're living a happy life, but they don't know Christ. Like what happens then? Cuz I mean, they had like
well,
I do
supposedly,
think that everybody will still sin, obviously, yeah, but
yeah, but it's a lot less about sin and it's more about acceptance of Jesus. Because although they do live a good and natural life, ultimately, most of the time, people run into Jesus at least once in their life. And people's philosophies on this get kind of weird. Some people will say that even the concept of Jesus goes around enough, and probably everyone's in the world seen it by now. But to say the least,
yeah,
the
but then you okay,
people
keep
at
going.
least have heard it and said, "Nah, I'm good," and that's
I do agree with that, but then like that's again every topic we get to, it always branches off into another topic. Like if you're gonna
well,
go with
yeah.
that route, what about children? What about babies?
Well, that's again, it's very
That's
philosophical.
literally that's super just faith
In
based. Like
in my
we
yeah, well, that's
we
also
hope
another thing.
that
In my opinion, I think that there is a point where they choose for themselves, and that's they have to choose Jesus. But
babies.
yeah, I think there's a point in their life when they have to choose for themselves. And before
You're
that
saying
point, before they can choose for
oh
themselves, it doesn't matter.
oh
But
okay okay
that's just yeah. Even if
all right.
yeah, and then we were also talking earlier, and then even if it wasn't like that, it would be that way. But I don't think it would be anything other than that, in my opinion. That's just me though. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
What about I mean getting into controversial things. What about let's say it's not the baby is not formed fully yet, but a woman is pregnant. Like let's say like as far back as the first day she's pregnant.
Controversy, yeah.
And like or as early as you can I don't know personally. I don't know how early you're legally allowed to uh abort a baby,
It
but
depends on the state.
yeah, the earliest you can. Let's take that scenario.
Oh, that's supposedly
Well,
from conception. Supposedly.
okay, so supposedly let's say, okay, then hypothetically from that, is the baby still in your mind going to heaven?
Yeah, because
Oh,
Jesus knew knew your name before you were in your mother's womb. Like he
so he
knows
has a name.
yeah, every person has a name before they're born, and
I don't disagree with you. I'm
yeah,
just,
but
it's
that's like
very hard to
that's the
understand.
that's the one biblical thing that we've had so far. That there is a verse in the Bible that says He'll know your name before you're in your mother's womb,
Hmm.
and that
Oh,
means
that's
that there's
true.
a person in your mother's womb, even from conception.
Yeah. In
So
this
yeah,
video, by the way, because you know, I know you are hard headed, but me, I'm not saying anything is right or wrong unless like I really feel strongly about it. The whole point is I'm just trying to kind of get to know everything I can know about anything. I know that's very vague, but I want to know like what both standpoints are on any conversation we have. So when it comes to abortion or Christianity or worldviews or anything, like I like hearing both sides.
I do want to say this though. From what I can understand, the only reason why abortion sort of gets through a lot is
Hmm.
because people don't believe that people are people inside their mother's womb. People actually, a lot of them, like some of them, such as Peter Singer, believe that you could wait until like 2 months after the or 2 weeks or 2 months or something like that after the baby's born before you
Hmm.
decide not to kill it. Like
Who said this?
Peter Singer.
Oh.
So he's an author, very democratic, um, socialistic too. If he said that if a child is not yet functional, well, like 2 weeks, you basically can't survive on your own, right?
Hmm.
I think one of his philosophies, or at least somebody's philosophy that was had a similar point of view, was that if you walked out of a room for like 5 minutes, it'd be totally fine because they can't survive on their own.
Mm.
And yeah, that's just because that's the thing. A lot of people think that it's functionality, it determines existence. A lot of people believe that when they can survive on their own outside of the mother's womb for 5 seconds,
Hmm.
that's when existence exists. But a lot of people who are pro life believe that existence starts when you're in your mother's womb, like the second it happens.
Hmm. Yeah, it's very touchy. It's like,
We
um,
did start talking about abortion. Who
yeah,
knew?
we weren't planning on it. We talked about this before because when I put the poll out for what people wanted us to talk about, um, the one I got was literally just talk about controversial things, and I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if it was like they wanted us to be controversial or genuinely speak up about this kind of stuff. And so I asked, what kind of controversial things are you wanting us to really like cover or talk about? And they talked about a couple things like religion, um, marijuana legalization, abortion, things like that. The marijuana thing,
Marijuana,
I don't
comma, no.
know.
Marijuana legalization.
Yeah. I don't the marijuana legalization thing. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are downsides to every action that is taken ever. Like, that there are going to be downsides to legalization in marijuana. But
I mean,
honestly,
you can't exactly smoke weed while driving, so as long as there's the similar legal, like that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I think we've taken the correct steps to sort of prevent people from doing things illegally with it. So as far as it goes with that specifically, I'm fine with it as long as like I don't know, as long as somebody who's like high doesn't run into my car.
mm, yeah, I don't know. I mean, people are going to do stupid things always. Like, there's always going to be people doing. And I'm not saying marijuana is stupid, but it
Stupid.
can be stupid. But it can be if you misuse it. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I don't know. It's legal. People can use it. I mean, what? Like, we're not going to change the law. Like, we're making a podcast for, I think it's 4 people currently subscribed. So it's
Yeah.
not like we're really big in the law, but
Well,
we still want to get our thoughts out.
this also might break down to the whole subscriber count for you if it goes
It might.
badly.
Yeah, it might.
Uh,
Who knows? Um, no, but so yeah, I don't really have an opinion on marijuana legalization. If you guys do, you're welcome to leave your comments in, the comments, and I'll read them. And by the way, I'll say this: if you guys want to see more topics, give us more topics to talk about. We'll
Yeah.
obviously think of some on our own if we don't get anything. But if you guys want to hear specific talks, we'll gladly listen and gladly talk about some things.
How long have we been recording for?
And currently about like 25 minutes
Yeah, I
almost.
thought so. I was like, are you cutting off here?
No, we're not done.
I
We're
was
not
like,
done. I'm
what?
just little segue in the middle.
Well, okay, segment. If you're thinking of segment, say segment. A Segway is a two-wheeled instrument used for instead of walking.
People say segues for in betweens. People say that, Isaac.
I don't think so. If that's a thing, then I'm very confused. I mean, segment maybe.
Is a segue.
An in-between point.
Segue. What is a segue?
Ugh. I like to see it be a turning point, and then that's why they call it a Segway, because it turns. Ugh.
Ooh, hiccup. Sorry, everybody. All definitions for segue. No, not now. Not on a podcast. Okay, what is that? It just might be spelled different. Copy. So what else do we want to hit? Because I don't want to segue in music and film. Move without interruption from one piece of music or scene to another. It's not spelled the same.
It's not Segway like that. Okay. Is that how you pronounce it?
Segway. Yes.
Are you
how
sure?
You pronounce it. Yes, I'm looking at the pronunciation on Google.
Okay. Whatever. Fine.
And you know what? For the viewers, if you guys want to see it, it's right here.
Okay, I can see.
There you go, viewers. Okay. Anyway, so there you go. That's our segment about segues.
Great.
Now let's just segue into the next thing.
Okay. No, stop, please.
I'm sorry. Well, so what else can we talk about now that we literally are just doing controversial topics? What else is there to talk about controversial?
Hosty boy.
Hosty boy?
That's you. You're the host.
Oh, I'm hosty boy. Gotcha. Okay, let's talk about guns.
Oh, great. Yay.
All right. What do you think about guns?
Guns are amazing and fun and good.
You like them?
Yes.
Do you think laws about them need to change or be tweaked or?
No.
So you think everything about gun laws right now are perfect?
Right now are fine. Well, in certain states, California kind of screwed up with the whole 18-year-old changed 21-year-old thing. I think the most lenient gun laws to date should be the ones that everyone has.
Oh, okay. Oh, everyone, my microphone might have been turned down a little bit. I'm just realizing on Audacity. So if that is the case, yeah, this looks a lot louder now. Sorry. If that's the case, I'll try and in editing turn my volume back up. Oopsies. All right. Anyway.
What are your views on guns?
Well, I mean, I love guns. I think guns are fun to use. Obviously, don't play with them as toys. Like that should be without saying. But I mean, I don't know the gun laws that well. Like, I don't know what exactly the rules are.
Do you want me to go over it?
Sure.
Okay, so basically, what was California's laws, because those are the ones I was most familiar with, was that you can have a shotgun or a rifle when you're 18, but of course, it's only specific rifles. And again, it's mostly just like bolt action, semi-auto stuff. And bolt action is when you have to go like in order to actually like load it. And then
Hmm.
bolt action, or no, semi-auto is when you have one pull of the trigger, one bullet comes out. That's the
Hmm.
standard. You can't have pistols or anything that you can conceal, but you can own rifles and shotguns. They changed that recently in California to become 21, which I thought was stupid because I was 18 and I really wanted a shotgun.
Yeah.
So that was just my opinion, and we weren't really dying that much of
Are you sure
stuff.
you're not allowed to own pistols?
Not until you're 21.
Oh, okay, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah, no, you're allowed to have a semi-auto pistol when you're 21, and that's the thing. But you cannot own a fully auto rifle at all. Like
Hmm.
you have to have military grade clearance for that crap. And that's where a lot of people get like confused because a lot of times you see in like when somebody has mass shooting, they'll say like AK looking gun. It wasn't an AK. Most AKs are fully auto. However, that thing was like a different type. It's basically an acronym, and then it had like a name after it, but it wasn't. It wasn't a fully auto. Although people will start making you say, "Hey, it looks like an AK, so that's bad," and I'm like, "It looks like an AK. Great for you." And then the same thing happens with like a whole bunch of other stuff because you do know the word assault weapon isn't. That's not a vocabulary definition. That's like something somebody made up to describe scary looking guns. But that's it. Like that's the thing. Like there's assault rifles, but those are again mostly just military use. There's no like assault rifle that you
Yeah.
can buy when you're a citizen. It's all just semi-auto or bolt action or pump action or brake action. You don't have fully autos, which are the ones where you pull the trigger and multiple bullets
So are
come
you
out.
saying it's a mistake that they made it to be 21 when you get a gun?
I said, yeah, I think that people who are 18 should own shotguns, rifles, because
Should?
yeah, because you can't really transport it unless you have a secure case, and you'd have to go through training in order to get one, because there is a screening process. There's a background check, and you have to go through enough to actually get a permit for a gun. And
How
people,
how extreme is the background check
it's okay. So basically, if you have any red flags according to like like certain psychological conditions can prevent you from having them. Um, and it's pretty much have you if you've ever had a crime in your background, they pretty much flag you.
though?
It's it's pretty standard. Like if you have, it's not like a driving ticket or anything, but if you've committed a felony, then you
Yeah.
can't buy a gun.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just like personally, I thought it was better when people were more lenient on that crap. Actually, here in Arizona, it's like that. Well, I think it's actually a bit more lenient entirely. Here, 18-year-olds can buy shotguns and rifles and stuff, and it's for home defense and stuff. But it's also just like fun to use. And I think if you can demonstrate that you're responsible enough at 18 to own a gun, then you should get it. It's the same thing with a lot of driver's license. People who are 18 can drive a car, which can
Yeah, but
kill
you
a
can't
lot of
choke up
people.
uh being 18 for a car the same as a gun. I mean,
Why not?
both
You're
both are can kill, like both are capable of like causing mass destruction,
yeah,
but one is literally a lethal weapon like that is made to kill. It's not meant to be played with. Like you
not
can,
necessarily. It is a tool. It can be used for skeet and trap and duck hunting. Although
okay,
not a lot of people do, but people who are 18
but
in California
the majority of anyone use guns to kill something, even if it's not people, like humans. Like the point of a gun
is
is to
mostly
hit
for
something. Like the point
yeah.
is to hit something. And
But
like
why? Okay,
a
so what's
car
your
is
opinion?
meant to for the car is meant for transport. Well, I
Yeah,
don't know. Like I'm saying like
but it's about the potential. That's why a bunch of people get their like panties in a
I'm
twist because
saying
the
I think the
potential
reason
is overcoming of the
to be honest, I don't know if I'm necessarily against being it at 21 because like yes, I do agree like there should be some forms of safety and like you should be able to protect yourself. That's fair. But I don't know. I you can't deny the fact that the new generations are getting dumber and dumber. Like
true. Except for
like
people
I
were always dumb, and
yes, people were always dumb, but at the same
this is why
time,
we have
how many
regulation.
mass shootings have we had in the last 4 years?
Good question.
Compared,
Answer
com-
that question.
okay, I'll look it up.
And I do want
I'm
you to
talking in
look
general,
up
like
according to a viable resource, such as like FBI or some crap like that.
Okay,
Something
how
real,
many mass
not HuffPo,
shootings
not New York Times,
there
something viable.
been since what year?
I don't know,
We'll do
1999,
since 1999.
because that's when the like that sort of cut off when we started doing that. And I also, but the reason why I asked you for that specific one, because a lot of people say that mass shootings is like three or more, but that's three or more. That's literally like
So there's a
gang
list
crime.
of shootings since the Columbine massacre. I believe that's what you're referring to.
Yes, but I also want you to
Um,
decide the source you're getting this from.
this is Villanovan, student run since 1916.
Eh.
It's not great, but there's a lot. Well, there's, I mean,
Yes,
there's 50 on
but
this list.
how many of those? Like, the thing is
How
that without
what
the like,
what?
how many of those are like three or more people?
Okay,
Like,
I'll read only
how
the ones that are more than 3 people.
how
Fair?
many of those are one man shooting himself on school property at night at an abandoned
Well, I'll go by
high
what you
school?
said. I'll read the ones
Fine,
that are more than how many? Give me a number.
three, maybe
More
four.
than all right,
Let's go
more than 3
four.
people.
Four is
So
standard.
obviously you have the one that you're referring to,
Columbine shooting.
the Columbine shooting. That's 13. Atlanta shootings had 12. Wedge Wedgwood Baptist Church in Texas had 7. The Xerox killings, Honolulu, Hawaii was 7. Um, they're all more than 3.
They all are okay,
The
but
lowest it looks like here is 4.
Gross is four. Okay, that's standard. Okay, that's a standard.
Standard.
Well, no, that's a good standard to have. Like a lot of people change the way it is. A lot of people think five.
The
A lot of
most,
people think six. A lot of
yeah,
people think
the
four.
most here
But that's because the
is
definition is different. But my question is, okay, so with those
the
mass
most I see
shootings,
here is 58 dead, and that was at the Las Vegas shooting on October 2017 in Vegas.
yeah, I know,
That had 58 dead.
yeah. And the question is this: admittedly, there are a lot of mass shootings. Can you look up a statistic for how many guns save, like, prevent crimes per year? And you could
Uh,
actually, that you can find a more stable source than whatever the heck
I'll
that
do my
was.
best, but obviously I'm trying to do this fast so like we don't just
Yeah,
get
yeah,
lost.
yeah. Just don't go Huffington
Um,
Post or any newspapers. Newspapers suck at doing correct
definitely
things.
not Wikipedia.
Definitely not Wikipedia.
Um, American Gun Facts, Defense. That's Wikipedia. Lawcenter.giffords.org, I guess. Gun violence statistics. Gun violence totals. Wait, is that violence or does it have
Does it have how many prevented crimes there are?
violence internationally? Gun suicide, gun homicide, unintentional shootings, police shootings, urban gun violence, kids and guns, domestic violence and guns, mass shootings, cost of gun violence. That's all they have here. Those are the different statistics I can go over.
Can you
Um,
find anything for how many people's lives are saved by guns each year? Or people with guns?
um, a lot of these websites don't want to talk about the benefit of guns.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of the websites talk about the possible or literal crimes that they've used,
As
been
far as
used
it
to.
goes, I'm not going to quote an exact statistic, but as far as I've found it's so for every like
According
300
to the
crimes.
Department of Justice Bureaus of
There we go.
Statistics, as gun ownerships has increased, gun-related homicide have dropped. U.S. gun-related homicides dropped 39% over the course of 18 years, from 18,253 during 1993 to 11,000 in 2011. During the same period, non-fatal firearm crimes decreased 69%, the DOJ found, but not everyone agrees with this pro-gun ownership findings.
Yeah. So basically,
And that was from this is from it looks like a news
oh,
website.
what?
WYFF. I don't know
Okay.
what that is. It
Don't
looks
go
like
news
channel.
websites. Usually they
It
go
looks like Channel
to
4 News almost,
okay. Just don't
but it's
go
still kind of saying what you're saying.
news
That it.
resources. As far as it goes, I think there's been a lot of different statistics, but the one that I don't know I followed the most was basically for every 300 shootings, there will be about 30,000 lives saved. And not a lot of people report this because, admittedly, it's not necessarily how many people have defended themselves with a firearm, but how many people have like stopped a mugging with a firearm or something like that. Not even killed the person, just pointed at them. So
Hmm.
the real question is this: it's people start thinking, yes, there's a lot of different people with a lot of different ideas, but also what we're talking about, 18-year-olds.
18, yeah.
If an 18-year-old is in a house and somebody comes in with a gun, is it better or worse that if they have qualified themselves by the law to be able to own a gun by standards that used to be in California and are currently in Arizona, do you think it would be better or worse for them to have a gun at that moment?
I don't know if I would call it better or worse, but I wouldn't be against it.
You wouldn't be against it. So
If they qualified and they
yeah,
but I'm not saying it's better. Don't get
you
your
say
knickers in a twist. Like I'm
you're
not
saying
saying
it would be
it'd be
what?
fine.
It
That's
would
what
be
I'm saying.
fine. Okay.
Like I'm saying if he is able to qualify himself, yes, in like a place like Arizona. And I know like it's different in California, but like if an 18-year-old is capable of showing himself that he's okay, that's fine. Because again, I'm not saying like the laws in Arizona are wrong. I'm just saying like I also know that a lot of people are becoming more dangerous as more generations are coming up just because our generations are becoming more self-centered and more stupid.
Well, yeah, but also
But I also know that every generation is like that. And I know that like
yeah, but it's not just that. We have a scanning process for a reason. People who don't aren't qualified to own guns usually don't. That's the point. Like people don't you usually for people who go to like mass shootings and like school shooters and stuff like that, unless it's they're like new to this field, usually
mhm,
they have some sort of priors which restrict them from having guns and they get them illegally. That's how most people get guns for this sort of thing.
mhm.
So I don't know. When it comes down to it, I always thought the benefits overweighed the consequences. That if like one of the ones you were talking about was the Westeros Church, I think
Less what?
the West
Or
Westro West West. It was on the list that
I
you were
mean,
talking about.
talking about I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find that.
And it's not West Baptist. That those are that's something different.
I can't find my thing.
Okay. Well, either
Sorry,
way,
I don't. Well, actually, I can probably hit history, can't
there was a
I? Are you
mass
wanting me to bring it back up?
there was a mass shooting in Texas where a church was shot up by a gunman. He was killed
List
by.
of mass shootings. I have it back up if you wanted me to.
Okay, can you go down like the list that you were talking about?
There's Wedgwood Baptist Church
That's what it
in
was. That one. I think it was that one at least in Texas.
Fort Worth, Texas, September 1999.
I think something
7
like
dead.
that. Oh, it's probably not the 7 one. I thought there were more than that. Whatever. But anyways, there was a guy who came in when this guy was going around shooting at people on the floor who were still alive. This guy came up with a gun. It was the AR-15, and he just came up and he shot him. Good guy with a gun beats bad guy with a gun. In that situation,
I'm not saying guns are not beneficial.
yeah, no, I
Like
know. I'm just
I
saying
know
that.
they're used for destruction, and I was saying that earlier. Like they're meant to kill, but like I'm not saying killing is always bad. Like you can use it for protection, and you can use it for right reasons. Like I'm not against cops having guns either. Like
Yeah,
I know people should have guns. Like I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm just saying I don't know. I just feel like with how stupid our generations are getting, and I know that's not a valid excuse because obviously every generation is stupid. But I just feel like lately it just seems to me from what I've seen that like people are getting more untrustworthy, and people are finding new ways to get around all the rules. And it's like, I don't know. I just feel like I haven't noticed this many shootings. Actually, hold on. I want to look back at that list really quick.
You're right.
I want to list. I want to
there
list
has
the years.
there has been an increase of shootings since the Columbine shooting in 1999. You are correct about that.
Well, to be fair, looking at this list, there's been a shooting every year pretty much since then.
Hmm.
So it's, I mean,
Eh,
looking
it
at
picked up
it,
more recently.
there was a lot in 1999. There was only one in 2000 and 2003. There was two in 2005. There was three 2006, four 2007. There was three in 2008. There was four in 2009, one in 2010, two in 2011. Looks like five in 2012.
It has picked up recently.
Um, three in 2013. Two in 2014. Four for 2015. Four in 2016. Four in 2017. And they only have one listed here for 2018, but there was a couple in 2018. So I just wanted to list that.
Okay, sorry. You were like showing them the website, right?
Oh, do you want me to show them the website?
You were just reading off
I was just,
statistics.
yeah, I was just reading off
That was
statistics. I mean,
boring as hell.
sorry, I was just reading so they know what I'm coming from. Yeah, this is the list I'm going from.
But
I'm not
yeah,
saying
I'm
this is the
not
most
gonna
accurate
lie.
website to use.
I'm just saying that when people start talking about mass shootings, people start saying that we should take away all the guns and stuff like that. And I know that's not where you're coming from, but a lot of times that's what people think. And although people are stupid, it's usually if they're trained well enough, I think that would be a better way to do it because if you take away somebody's ability to defend themselves, no matter who they are, I think that that's a greater
I
disadvantage than
mean, at
anything
the
else.
end of the day, like anyone can be crazy.
Yeah, and anyone can
Like
use any weapon.
we'll never know. Like
Yeah,
you'll never know the heart of somebody.
knife crime picked
Um,
up in both Australia and Britain when they started restricting guns. Like when they had the buyback, and well, no, actually, Australia, I don't think was knife crime. That one was just that it was following a normal decrease in violence in general. While in Britain, knife crime increased tremendously when they started heavy gun restrictions, and now they're starting to restrict certain types of knives. And then they're just building on top of each other. They're just building up the different laws that are just it's not working out well for them. But that's the thing. Like crazy people do crazy things because they're crazy.
yeah, but that's like again, and that just gets to everything like we've been talking about. It's like everybody has their own head. Like everybody has their own thinking process. Like you're never gonna know anybody's thinking process. You're never gonna be able to change anybody's thinking process when it comes to gun rights, when it comes to abortion, when it comes to God. Like everybody has their own feelings, and you'll never know what they feel. They'll say it, but you'll never know for sure if that's what they feel. When it comes to
Also,
guns, you'll never know if someone's crazy or not.
yeah.
When it comes to if somebody how somebody feels about abortion or if they want to abort a baby, like you don't know what they've been through to want to do that. Like we didn't bring up earlier with abortion, like the idea of if someone was raped, like if it's a rape victim.
Well, the thing is that I always think that there's more ways that you can go through instead of killing something.
I no, I'm not disagreeing necessarily. I do think like I wish I do wish that people could like just give the baby a chance and give it up for adoption because
Yeah.
I understand not wanting to parent the child, um, and I know I'll never like as a man I'll never understand the utter pain of birth, but I don't know. I still feel like there's at least better things that can be done.
Yeah.
I'm not judging women for wanting to do that, but it's still like I just really wish people would think about like what because it's the same with if you want to get to the like final controversy we can talk about because this kind of I have a point of view on this that relates to abortion. The death penalty.
Yeah. I
I
we agree on this.
yeah, I don't agree with the death penalty.
Yeah.
Everybody. I don't think it's necessary.
I
Now,
don't either.
I know everybody always says two things. One, what if the person killed your mother? And I'll get to that in a second. And two, we can't keep them alive because the jail cells are not even a punishment these days. Now, getting to those two
Well, it's
topics, which
not even
everybody
that. A lot of
like,
people
it
are
is a punishment,
complaining.
but it's like it's
No,
not. Our tax dollars are going into.
that's it. That
That's
that
what
right
they.
there.
That's what I mean. That's like what they
Because
talk
it
about.
takes more time to get people food and shelter and build more prisons. That's where the taxes have to go if we fill it up enough. But yeah,
And I do agree. Like there should be precautions taken for our taxes. Like I don't think we're really as a country using it properly.
I think
I
if
know
we
that's.
drop healthcare and put it into the prison system, I'd be okay with that.
I just think prison needs to be more of a prison. Like I don't think we need to go like as dark as like Alcatraz, but it's definitely can't be what prisons are now.
What are
But
prisons
and
now?
I feel like I mean they're just kind of like a holding area. Like yes, you get held, but you get fed, you get jobs, you get people. Like just because you don't get to see your family, that doesn't mean that it's a punishment worth changing your like not everybody is going to be affected by prison is what I mean. Not everybody. Some people will.
Life in prison. I mean, you don't. Well, for one thing, lower crimes you restrict their freedom for a certain amount of time, and then heavier crimes like murder. Like, although the system has been lenient, I think that people should have life in prison if they're sentenced with life in prison.
I do agree with life in prison, but then whenever I bring that up, then they keep saying like, oh, but then we're just like
Taxes,
paying
taxes,
for
taxes.
yeah
Yeah,
taxes. That's
just
I
get
mean,
rid of like healthcare and Medicare and just
what do you
embrace
mean by get rid
private
of it?
insurance. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying cut it off completely automatically. I'm saying we should like phase it out of the way that we work because Medicare and healthcare are basically just they're free. They're basically free money to people who are elderly and women, and there's also that's healthcare. No, that's Medicaid. Medicare is anyone of poorness. Like if you're poor, you get Medicare and stuff like that, and if you're a woman or old, you have Medicaid, and it's for like birthing stuff and stuff. But it's basically just like free. Like we pay taxes in order to pay them, so they can pay off their med, essentially. I'm not a socialist, so I don't agree with that. But B, a lot of that stuff goes into like abortions and stuff. So if we got rid or like started phasing that out, we could start aiming more of those tax dollars into the prison system so we could avoid killing people in prison and just
Because okay,
yeah,
because that's what the other topic I was mentioning. Like people always bring up that what if he killed your mother? Like if he killed your mother, wouldn't you want to get him back? And like
get him
I
back
can
is
I can
different.
completely understand why someone would feel that way. Because yes, you love your mother. Everybody has this motherly bond. Like I know some people don't, but most. And but the thing is, like in my mind, and this is my perspective. I know other people have different opinions, but in my mind, it seems like how are you better than that guy then? If you because with that situation, I know there's different situations, but like people always bring up if he killed your mother, how is it better that I kill him back as a punishment? Like cuz I have to be the deciding vote, don't I? Do I not understand that correctly? Like the I would have to be the guy who like I have to go to court about it, right? Don't I? Or
No,
did no,
no.
is that not how that
Murder
works?
is a federal offense.
Okay,
The
but
feds
still
get
like
involved. Like
so I
it
don't but do that but then again, do I
if
not have
you
anything to say to
if
the conversation then?
if you kill someone, you are going to court with the state that you are living in. It's
Well,
nothing
then
to
I
do
guess I
with
understand differently,
family.
but still, okay. But then do I have nothing to say then? Do I have no
You can
say
say
in
that
what
you
happens?
forgive him. You can say that yeah,
Oh, but
you're
then but
better
they make the
for it.
deciding vote.
But at the same time, it's still that they took the life of someone. So it's pretty
But
much out of your
again,
hands.
that is, even if it's me or the government, like I just don't understand how killing someone who killed
Oh, I
is
agree. I'm against the
like
death.
and don't get
I'm
me wrong. I
definitely
know
against the death
there's
penalty.
other things that you can like say, but most of the time it's killing that brings up the idea of death penalty stuff. Like because if you steal or if you rape or if you like I don't know do something like that. Usually it's just prison. Usually it has to be like death or something like very drastic for it to be the death penalty thought.
It has
And
to be
I
murder.
also will, I will have to like, we do have to bring this up. Like, obviously, we both know the death penalty hasn't been used in a long time. Like, I'm
Well,
not saying
no, it has.
really.
Yeah,
I'm
except for it's
well, not
really,
as often like as it used to,
really
right?
slow. Like, it's very, very slow. Like,
Oh,
people
is it?
can go into prison and wait like 9 years before they get pincushioned.
Mm.
Like, there is a
I just
long
don't see the
wait.
point. It just doesn't like it doesn't make
I
sense. It's like
agree. I like life
and
in
and,
prison way
and
more.
my family who comes from a Christian background does bring up, well, like
They bring up the
they
Old
bring up
Testament. It's only the Old Testament. You can't find anyone who is
yeah.
because turn the other
What is
cheek
what is
basically
what is what
cut
is the
everything
verse
off.
that they yeah, what is the verse that
Eye for
they
an eye
say?
usually is the
Eye for an eye is what they
yeah,
use,
and then a
yes.
tooth for a tooth and a ear for an ear.
Yeah.
Pinky for a
And
pinky.
we all and but I mean well you got to admit though we only do use the one other verse too. Like we're no better than them. We only use one example as well.
Yeah, turn the other cheek.
Turn the
That
other cheek. And I know
that's the
that's
point where Jesus was. That's when God was staring you in the face and saying, "Hey,"
but
but that's
like
also
just
not to say. And actually, there's actually more. There's also vengeance is the Lord's, um, and then there's just like a couple of them. But the thing is that specifically with that, people, I don't know. I personally believe that vengeance is not ours to take, and I do not think that taking a life justifies taking a life. But for me personally, if in that situation, if someone was like killed my mother or something like that, and like I caught them in the act, the only way that that guy would be like justified in killing is if he still had the knife and if he was like not even coming at me, but if he had it and I saw him and I was like put the knife down and then he didn't put the knife down, that would be justification because then you're defending yourself at that point. You're not just killing to kill him. You're doing it because you're afraid he might hurt you or anyone else in the room. Although he already
hmm,
did kill your mom. Well, that's the point. Like justice is a fickle mistress because
yeah.
to have it, you need a lot of grit and you need to like avoid emotion. But also, when you have it, it's better than not having it because then that's what created this guy to start murdering because he didn't see justice, didn't see the evil in killing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just really hard cuz like because don't get me wrong, I understand punishment, but punishment seen as death, like it just what I was getting to, the reason I related it to birth earlier, or not birth, abortion earlier, is I had to write an essay on this actually in high school, and I know I was a teenager, so that's not really reliable, but I did like the point that I found out. Like I
Was
did my
your teacher
research.
a Democrat?
I don't remember what she was. She was not even from America. Anyway,
Oh, is she from
um,
Canada?
no, she was from um I'll put it on the screen if I remember. Anyway,
Okay, now the question
um,
is this.
well, no, hold on. I was gonna say, the reason I brought that up about abortion being related is because a lot of like my main point with the death penalty and the one main idea that people who are against the death penalty say is you never know, like, or no, the reason I use abortion as my reasoning for the death penalty. A lot of people in the argumentation of abortion is, well, like if you're killing the child, you don't know if they're going to be the next person to cure cancer. That's always what they say, right? Like you're not going to know if they're the next president or they're going to cure cancer. You don't know
Whether
because
they're
they'll
the
never have
next Hitler,
yeah,
whether they're
or
the
the
next.
yeah, that's true too. But you never know because you take
Yeah.
away their option, and that's
Yeah.
I use that because it's the same thing with the death penalty. Yeah, I'm not saying like sure if they're in jail for the rest of their life, obviously they're not going to like cure cancer, but um if you take their life away, then they can never change their heart. Like even if you don't believe in Christianity, even if you don't believe in like there's an afterlife, thinking that you had to have somebody die with a dark
Oh,
heart.
you're back?
Yeah, I'm back. The only reason that you could like I can't see taking somebody's life if they can't at least like did you freeze again? I feel like whether you come from a Christian background or not, if you take the option of his life away when he's a bad man, then he'll have to die an evil man
Yeah,
or woman. Like he'll
yeah,
never be able
and you're
to
taking
become
away
better
the
than he was.
repentance, and
Yeah,
then
exactly.
people start saying like, well, what if pressing him makes him become a better man? And I don't know. I just think that because that's like something that people say that like, what if someone jumps off a roof and then they say sorry midway between the roof and the ground? Well, what if they don't?
Yeah, it is a what if because I'm not saying that it's not what if the other way. It's not.
Yeah,
I'm not denying that if you keep him alive, he can still be an evil person the
but
rest of his life.
he has more of a chance that he
He
might.
has a chance to get better. Exactly.
I should say that he has more chances to become a better man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you're just because it's more or it's nothing. Like there's and like I don't know. To me, it's just like why take away
Yeah.
at least one opportunity to get better? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to change anybody's mind, but I'm giving my opinion on why I don't agree with it. Um, the other thing that people bring up with the Bible is that, like, other than just an eye for an eye, like, I think they say that somewhere in the Bible, God says it's something along the lines of it's okay to kill for the right reasons or something like, and if it's like war or
It's
something, I don't remember
it's
what it is.
it's self defense essentially. Well, and also war. It was complicated. Uh, Pretty much if you're in war, then it's fine because it's technically self defense
But that's why
in
I
a
don't understand the death
way.
penalty because technically, if you get to the
Because
point where you can choose the death penalty,
they're
then
not
you
really.
already won.
Yeah, they're pretty
Like the
much just
war's
sitting in
over.
prison.
Like you're not like Christian background or not. Like you already have him in custody.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, what if he gets out? He could keep doing what he's doing. Yeah, but he also might not. Like you'll
Wait,
never know.
but that's also the other thing. I think that if we improve the prison system to where they don't get out, if at all, if they take a life that they're just in prison forever,
Hmm.
I'd be much better with that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
rehabilitation only works in the soul.
No, yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, I mean that's a lot of controversial topics. Um,
Yeah, we went
I
through
hope
a
you guys
lot.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was suggested by
Watching.
someone. I'm not going to give names, but that was a suggestion that we got on Instagram. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video for our first episode of being very controversial. Um,
And we found a little bit about what PieJ thinks, which
a
is
little bit. And as if
more
you
than I
guys keep
can say.
subscribing, if you guys keep subscribing, then you'll probably know more through the more conversations that
And
we have
he
in the
might
future.
actually look into something and have an opinion on
Maybe,
anything.
maybe we might just get there.
You might just
But
have an
I
opinion.
mean, that's about it. Please, since this channel is new, if you guys see this video, I have to do this again. I hate doing this because I don't really do it on my main channel anymore. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like down below. It really does help the channel. It really does. Share it with your friends. Share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I don't care. Just share it. Subscribe if you want to see more conversations with me. Isaac will not be um, my only partner in this. Like I have, if you look, I've tried to make the banner of this YouTube channel the main people I'll mostly talk to. So if you want me to talk to any of them, I believe the list is Jordan, Serenity, Sarah, Sophia, Alex, Isaac, Brent, Tyler, Kiana, um,
Keanu Reeves?
somebody else. I think.
Keanu Reeves?
No, it's not funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
so if you guys want to see me talk to anybody else, if you guys want to see us talk about anything specific, be sure to leave that in the comments down below. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this first official episode of the PieJ podcasts. Um, did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
that's it from us. Thank you guys for watching. Tune in next Sunday. All our episodes are going to be going up on Sundays every week. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you guys later. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.